In five, four, three, two. Hello, everyone. It's May 8th on 2023. My name is Kris Kenard, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother from another mother, Olor. This is part one, the first dance of Ken Mide's Quince, where we discuss 15 great songs from 2015. Good morning, Olor. How are you?
Oh, well, I am just really glad that we've been able to get ahead and go and getting ahead with this because you know I've been looking forward to having a discussion on these songs and that whole relationship with 2015, which I think it's clear. I mean, well, it's definitely going to be obvious that, we had our own experiences here and there, but just really kind of understanding what role the music kind of played in all of that. So, um, yeah, that's looking forward to it.
Cool. For those who are, for anyone who's, if this happens to be anyone's first stream with the two of us, um, what we do here was, I guess, inspired or like plagiarized or ripped off from the good from Charles Holmes from The Ringer and the Ringer Music Podcast when he and a bunch of his associates were doing a song draft for 2012, and I felt like, I know I could do something similar because I don't know how drafts work in like fantasy football and things of that nature. But I do know that I find it very fun to just like glance backwards at the things that are significant to me in the past. And if I'm being honest with myself, when I consider every retrospect that we've done, it's not as if every song that I chose was a song I listened to at that year, but it's like, oh, like songs that I do love now came out during that year and etc. and so on and so forth. So here we are in 2015. It is our goal to like cover every year from 2010 all the way up until 2023. And we're just kind of like, at least for now, we'll be focusing on the next 3 years, 15, 16, and 17. And I'm thankful that like this gives the two of us a chance to just talk when we normally don't have the time to do so, and just put strangers on the internet to like records that may have just fallen by the wayside, and things related to that. Today's list can be found on both Spotify and on YouTube, which include but are not limited to No Flex Zone by Ray Strummerd, Begin Again by Purity Ring, Done with Love by Zed, Coffee by Miguel, Downside of Me by Churches, Damn Baby by Janet Jackson, Road of Resistance by Baby Metal, Mountain at My Gates by Foles, Heavy as the Head by Chris Cornell and the Zach Brown Band, Something Good by Dead Sarah, King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar, Under Control by The Internet, Call on Me by Magical Clouds, The Art of Getting By, Song for Heaven's Gate by The Go Team, and Lovesick Part 3 by Nujabes featuring Shing O2. Our 15th selection was made possible by our beloved Y2K Skater Boy. Thank you as always. We'll be talking about that song tonight in addition to Zach Brown, Chris Cornell, Foles, Baby Metal, and Janet Jackson. Um, what would you say, Arkantel Ayalor, is your summarization of 2015 and what it means to you? I know you kind of like uh you fall into like you're way more poetic than I am. So when you think of 2015, who were you? What were you doing? What was important to you musically?
Um, well, yeah, this was definitely a question that I knew that I would be asked, and I'll be honest, I was really preparing my answer for this because yeah, I think we all go through our we all go through our interesting peaks and valleys and rough patches in lives. And 2015, oh man, that was just a time where I really wasn't. It's odd because I felt like I disconnected myself a bit from the conversation in terms of what was going on in, music musically, because I was just at a time in my life where I kind of felt pretty disconnected from things in general, just in the day to day, certain things, certain personal hangups here and there that everyone goes through, but are all the more difficult to kind of process. So because of that, I kind of allowed myself to just like really, really be detached from things, where where it's like, yeah, yeah, it's not like I'm online, but it's like when you're not like, allowing yourself to be social in the physical sense, you kind of stop caring about being social in terms of even being a part of a conversation. So it's weird. So it's weird because I like there's certain like hits that we kind of associate from that year that if anything I associate them more as like memes than and stuff like um about to supposed to be Omarion with Chris Brown and Janae Aiko. I remember that because like, oh, they were
Fine.
because they yeah, because of Vines. Exactly, because of Vines. Like like it wasn't until I was watching the BET Awards and they were performing. It's like, oh, that's who sings that Vine song. So it's weird. So that's what I mean, where I really kind of just disconnected myself socially in that way. And yet, that didn't stop me from keeping up with music. It didn't stop me. It stopped me from doing it in terms of like wanting to keep in touch and then socially. But, the things that still resonated with me, the things that still kind of meant a good deal to me, I still made an effort. I still made an effort to seek out things. And in a time of my life that felt pretty uncertain, where things felt very uncertain, you know, I would say that I appreciated a quite good deal of these songs. And I think I think one song that ends up doing a good job in showcasing my relationship with that year is well the first song that I'll be speaking about, but on my side.
Well, let's do what we usually do when we have Skater Boy like just like put the cherry on the top of these playlists. Um, let's start at the end with Lovesick Part 3, featuring
Hmm.
Shingo 2. And
Hmm.
let's just like, like tell me about your relationship to Nujabes. One who like I have seen described as just like the Japanese Dilla and things of that nature. Are you like me, where like your relationship just like starts and stops with like Samurai Champloo, or were your like crate digging efforts so far advanced that you knew who he was prior to that show?
Oh, well, I will definitely I am definitely not above admitting, the role anime has played in broadening up my deeper pop cultural understanding of them. So, so I can't even front on that Samurai Champloo thing, which if I am looking at my shelf. And yes, yes, I do indeed have a Samurai Champloo Blu-ray all the way over there, but I'm not going to do what I usually do.
We believe
But
you, I promise.
Y yeah, but so yeah, of course, so yeah, I was watching me and my older brother, we were watching the Samurai Champloo, he was playing me the battle cry. I was, like, completely in awe of what I was hearing, and I was like, "Yo, who is this? Yo, who is this guy? Who is this guy? What is he on?" And of course, obviously being heartbroken, that's like, no, I kid you not, 2010, that was the year I was getting into that man. 2010, man. 2010, when we lost him.
The as I expected, I knew you'd be tapped in, and to be honest with you, like that's how tapped out I am, I suppose, in regards to just like the man's legacy and career. I knew that he wasn't with us, but I didn't know when he had passed. And to be honest with you, there probably would have been no way for me to have kept up with that sort of information. So like I appreciate that context, and rest in peace Dilla, rest in peace New Base. And a big shout out to Skater Boy for just like putting me on, because he had a couple of answers for just like music that like was important to him in 2015. And I think like the other suggestions that he made were songs that I already knew, and I didn't know this one. And at first, like I don't think I paid too much attention to it, but like I've been having some bad brain days for a little while.
Mhm.
And so I think maybe it's like the third or fourth time I've heard the song, and like it finally makes sense to me. I really love the beat. And like I know detractors could say that, oh, Shingo 2 only has like one flow the whole time, doesn't like break the doesn't like really like break the cadence, doesn't like, like change like the sound of his voice, but like that consistency. And when you look at like the things that he's saying in the song, it helped. It's helped tremendously.
Mhm.
And it's not the solution to my problems, but it makes my problems suck a little less. And so I'm very thankful for this song, and like who knows where I would have ended up if I had heard it almost, oh boy, 8 years ago. Great song. Would you say
Uh
what's your like what is say what?
I was noticing the forces of nature as you were speaking. Are you feeling okay, man?
Dude, no, that's just like a car that was outside.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, yeah. As you were about to ask.
Yeah, like what how do you feel about the song? What does Lovesick Part 3 do for you?
Oh man, yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it encapsulates not only so much of what was so amazing about New Gervais, and about his style of production, which, as much as we, like, and backpacky, Dilla saved my life guys love to liken the two together. I think what should be understood about in that comparison is that, much like a Mr. Dilla, Nujabes was amazing because he knew how to he knew how to transform samples in an organic way, in an organic way, and really encapsulate so much of what we romanticize about hip hop. Like, at least, in my, once again, my backpacky, you know, parappa the rapper loving aesthetic of hip hop, which I guess I always kind of end up falling into in some way, which one of my choices on this list kind of demonstrates. But yeah, it's just that really quirky, that really quirky, e- organic organic quality of sampling that Nujabes was so amazing at doing, that you know that is, yes, that is a joy to listen to. It's a blast to listen to. And it's just fun to bob your head to. But if you think about it just a tad bit more, and you think about what's likely being sampled, and and just how that's one of the great promises of hip hop, of how in sampling in sampling these records of yesteryears, we're keeping the conversation of music alive, man. And that's why it's so easy to romanticize a Nujabes, a J Dilla, a Mad Lib, you know, another producer who I really like, but I also kind of have my issues with. But then there's so many. Which one? That's the
You speak
musical.
off screen about that because I don't know anything about Mad Liv's sins that anyone else would know. So thanks for that nugget.
No, no. I was talking about a different producer. A different producer. I mean,
Name names,
Matt
boy.
Lip
Don't
School.
be
Matt Lip
shy.
School. Dude, duh, I was gonna I rock with Pete Rock, but he was tweeting some anti-vax stuff like back in 2020, and I was like, ah, man, you my man, yo Pete, I love you, but you my man. But you guys saw that anti-vax stuff, man. He deleted those tweets though. He thankfully,
Doesn't wipe the sin
but
away. He probably still feels
he,
that way, but behind closed doors, allegedly. Thank you for
but
clearing that up
yeah,
because you had me thinking that something was wrong with Mad Lib.
No, yeah. Sorry. I understand with the way things are lagging. Maybe I might say something that comes off a bit behind because I'm
I'll hold it.
so off the.
Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, so I apologize.
Okay, it's all good. Jeez, it's all good. But okay, but yes, my point was there's a reason why producers like these get very romanticized among us kind of backpacker guys, because we, especially, and not that samples have to be an end all, but oftentimes with the usage of samples, especially in how creatively they're done, and if they are ever so kind to share the sample that they did, it makes you really think of like, oh wow, isn't it really cool that through hip hop I'm being introduced to sounds of a massive eons ago, man, like, yeah, do you ever feel like that's the appeal? That's the appeal, that's one of the many appeals that hip hop has always had in general.
You're letting me cut in only because it seems to be a never-ending conversation from enthusiasts to gatekeepers, you know, uh, from gods to gents about samples. I think that the Ed Sheeran shit that's happening right now in the public zeitgeist is a great example of why producers are going to keep samples close to the chest. And it's because, even with hip hop being the most important music made right now in culture, clearly at the time this song was made, that was not the case, especially for underground jazz heads like a Nujabes, like a Shingotu, like a Spin Master A1 in the sense that like, bet we gonna put this song out, but a lawsuit is soon coming if like we don't clear these fucking samples. And it seems to me like it is like it's like I'm definitely on the side of like, you know, the innovators, the people that are like trying to create, in the sense that like people from yesteryears do not give a fuck about creating you know, creating new masterpieces from songs that come before, because it especially with these like these bloodthirsty folks who just want to like milk songs of all that they're worth without paying the people who make it one red fucking cent. You know, if I can go on a bit of a tangent, I think about often how people are upset of the people of the band Paramore for getting a writing credit on that Olivia Rodrigo song. Personally, I do not agree with that decision, but I do not hold the band at fault. I hold at fault the people who are like, oh, we can manipulate this to get a bigger bag for everyone involved with that specific song. And I'm like, that's so fucked. That's not what making music is about. It's, you know, like unfortunately, making music, making money ties everything together in a very constrictive bow. And so with that in mind, if like you happen to represent a god in music, it's like, oh, like my god needs more blood for the sacrifices. And that can't be further from the truth. Truthfully, unless it's from the artist themselves or from like fucking family who speaks for that artist, I don't want to hear it. And if you happen to be a business person and you're related to that artist, I especially don't want to fucking hear about you, because I don't trust you. You know what I'm saying? And make of that what you fucking will. But like, as much, and like, because yeah, I do want to know where samples are from, because I do want to keep on digging down the road. I want to keep on digging down the hole. Like I'm always looking for my next fix. I'm always looking to know about every single fucking song that's ever been made, just so I can contextualize everything that I've ever listened to. But it's like, it's not the end of the world as long as the song that I enjoy can still be heard uh across the world, wherever I am, no matter where I am. That's what matters most to me. I don't like the idea where it's like, oh, I hear a great song and I can't find it anywhere. Like if I couldn't stream this song and like I needed it in my life, like I needed oxygen, I couldn't get the vinyl or like the cassette or like the download. You know what I'm saying? I want like, because even if like, you know, Daniel Ek is paying people like less than a penny for their shit, at least they're earning something. And I have to know that like when I'm listening to something, someone who deserves the money is going to get it eventually, even if it's like 1,000 years from now, you know, like one of these days we'll bleed these pigs for all they're worth. But in the meantime,
Uh,
before we move forward, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. You have something to say.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say in that entire point, that's always been my whole hope with in terms of like copy. We're in just such a dear need of like of a copyright appraisal, and you know, a way bigger, I say a way bigger push to get things into the public domain, as well as just really, I don't know, as well a system that can better supplant artists, so that I don't need to hear another example of so and so trying to ended up suing someone else because that's the way to the bag and stuff like that. Which, I mean, I don't know, man. I curse that Marvin Gaye lawsuit. That and this verdict came out in 2015, by the way. Ha ha ha.
Okay, wait, but like
See.
I'm not gonna fucking
Yeah,
lie though,
yeah,
dog. I'm
yeah,
not gonna fucking lie though.
yeah.
Hold on a second though. And I was talking cash shit like 10 seconds ago, but to be honest with you, there was no way in hell you were gonna tell me that like all parties involved with that record didn't like flip the John. It is clear as the egg on your face that they flipped the John and thought they were gonna get away with it, allegedly, in my humble opinion. To be honest with you, I felt like they were right in that specific case. And honestly, I see why they think they have a case in regards to the Ed Sheeran record, the Take Me Into Your da 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 da. Like, I understand why.
Thinking out
If it's
loud.
about
Yeah.
if the thinking out loud thing is the problem, I understand why you think that's the case. I understand why you think that might be a case. I hear the song, I hear the sound similarities. All I'm saying is, who gives a flying fuck? Who cares? The man is dead. His descendants are not hurting for any money. And if that is the actual case, if the descendants of Marvin Gaye are in financial stress, how is it that, like, with his rich catalog of songs that are played all over the world again and again and again and again and again and again, and will be until the end of humanity, how is it that, like, the money that's being made from those sales, those streams, is not in their hands? How is that fucking possible? You bloodthirsty pigs. Tell me that, motherfuckers. Like, it's the fact that we even say it. It's the fact that we even say it in the streets and on our, like, in the comments, that, like, it's never gonna go away. It's like an unspoken fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that, like, we have these conversations about that specific Ed Sheeran song compared to that Marvin Gaye song, that's never gonna go away. No litigation is ever gonna fucking change that. It's in our heads now. But, like, you taking dudes money, because, like, Ed Sheeran just started his family, and granted, he ain't never gonna go broke. Let's keep it a fucking buck. But by doing what you're doing to Ed, in case anyone's confused, they get the fuck over the guy who doesn't have any money in his pocket. You know what I'm saying? And, like, that's what's so fucked up about this. You know what I'm saying? I don't, y'all, the estate should not get to dictate the rest of the game for the rest of capitalism. You assholes. Again, if this is about money, y'all don't. Ed doesn't need any more money, and, like, he's about to make a big ass bag from his new album. So, like, he's not gonna be hurting for the money. He can afford to pay the estate. He still shouldn't have to fucking do it. And I've had my issues with Ed Sheeran. Granted, my issues with Ed Sheeran are not based in aren't based in, like, of substantial fact. It's just my fucking opinion about man's work and how I think he's moving out here. I don't, and, like, I only, like, backpedal about my opinion about Ed because one of my favorite people likes Ed, and that's okay because he's fucking talented. But, like, yeah, that as much as I agreed in the
Right.
past about, like, and frankly, maybe I wouldn't be so, like, they were right if I wasn't such a detractor of one of the featured rappers on that specific song. See, I will paraphrase here because I don't want to invoke that person, because I know they're out here just, like, looking for a chance to swing on folks who don't have a chance in court to go to appear. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about Pete Rock, but I am worried about that other fella, if you know what I mean.
Indeed. 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 Um,
Before we go
but
before we go any further, unless you really have to get it
uh-huh.
out, go ahead.
But yeah, but yes, indeed. But hey, so hey, to my good old backpack, to my good old backpack hip hop, underground hip hop heads who want a good love song to share with their significant others, but don't want to play them that Drake stuff, you know, definitely should slink this new bass track to Adam, new bass forever.
I would make the argument that you really don't love somebody if you're playing on Drake in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. Before we move on, I wanted to read something in the Genius annotation that I think is really interesting. It's from
Mhm.
Shingo to himself, where he writes, "It seemed, quote, it seemed as if we had struck a chord with Lovesick Part 2, and Nujabes would mention working on the next installment. I was mostly in Oakland at the time, so we would exchange email. When I received the next instrumental for Lovesick Part 3, I just wanted to speak about the power of music and the fact that we need to go back to our roots to discover it. DJ A1, currently Spin Master A1, recorded the scratches at my studio using odd records that I have a healthy collection of. We knocked it out pretty quickly. I structured the song so that the second verse would mirror the first, a technique I used previously for a song called Pearl Harbor, and the third verse would round it out. At this time, Nujabes decided to include Lovesick Part 3 on Modal Soul and postponed plans to press the single. And he left the third verse out. Although he mentioned that the full version would be on the 12-inch, it didn't materialize then. My friend's blog leaked the full version, and Nujabes was none too pleased. However, I would convince him that there were many fans worldwide who are fully behind the series concept, and that we shouldn't deprive them from content. In the end, he folded, and that was an example of us working out our differences. We can work it
I
out. We
I
can
I
work it
can't
out.
I can't believe that like everything I was saying about, oh wow, how it's so great, how it's so easy for us to romanticize these people like Nujabes and Jay Diller, and how amazingly they use samples. And yeah, and James like explaining his verse, that's kind of close to what I was trying to communicate. Yeah, like wow, yeah.
So you knew without
I
even
mean,
having to fucking saying it.
and that was
So
nice. I that was not intended, man. That was not intended, man. Hey man, I guess sometimes you just know. But much love to Mr. Skateboy. Definitely appreciate the your nuggets of musical love that you drop it here and there. And we look forward to your continued contributions in the future.
here, here. I would like to start with your songs and we can end with mine. Is that okay with you?
Okay, hey, much appreciated, man.
Sure. Let's start with Foles. You mind if I start first?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So when I first heard, I had never heard Mountain Emma Gates before. If I'm being honest with you, I know Foles were just being like the indie rock gods that they are across the pond. But to be honest with you, I only know two songs by them: "The French Open" from their first LP, and "Wake Me Up," which I think is the lead single from their most latest album. I like those songs a lot. And when I
Mm.
heard this, I was like doing dishes in the kitchen, and I'm like, "Is this Imagine Dragons?" Or more specifically, I'm like, is this Imagine Dragons prior to the first LP, like being like the meteoric success that it was? Because that's all I could fucking hear when I heard it. I'm like, this shit is a ghost written song for Imagine Dragons. No shade, because that first
uh,
album had some joints, but it's like, son, like it really sounds like they're trying to like just like appeal to like mainstream adult contemporary American rock. And uh I'm not seeing the vision, and I'm being honest that I'm not seeing the vision. This is not a bad song, but it's like, bro, like
okay.
this is band cosplay. If I'm
Uh,
being if I'm being shady, so please explain yourself.
no, okay, and that's and I get that, and that I would say that also kind of just also explains the weird conflicted way that I see that I kind of feel about 2015, where it's never going to be a year that I look back fondly at, and yet it's like, from going through that, like that was like the one time that like I was like that a year that when the year ended on some kind of good note, and I was like, I can take this as some kind of like sign and stuff like that. And when you're already processing the year in this way, as the year's ending, and you find this song that's like, oh yeah, I see you mountain in my gates. That's all about, hey man, I'm gonna try and self-persevere through the bad times and everything. But is it driving me insane? Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'll be completely solid that was kind of just me resonating with the relationship a song had in a place in my life. The funny thing about my relationship with Foles is that, yeah, them being described as like indie rock gods, like kind of like Arctic Monkeys, right?
Um, did AM come out this year or last year? Riddle me that.
Like I think like AM's the ones that had do I want to know.
Yeah, that's the
They,
shit that really like brought them back to the states in a way that like made them like people like Miley Cyrus give a fuck about them.
that came 2 years prior. That came 2 years prior.
Years prior, hold on, I'm gonna check this shit out right
Yeah,
now because I'm
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait a minute,
2013. Yeah, 2013.
what? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do I? Yeah, 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 yeah. Do I want to? That
Jesus
yeah, that was
fuck,
good.
that came out
Yeah,
two
that was
years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah, yeah. Do I want to know? Is 10 years? It's 10 years old. Well, it's going to be 10 years
motherfuck.
old. Yeah. So
That
yeah.
is crazy. All right,
So
go
yeah.
ahead.
So yeah. So the thing is, Foles. Yes, Foles is kind of in that conversation. They are in that Arctic Monkey, like really, really, Arctic Monkey, the Cribs, like just so many of those like 2000 Franz Ferdinand 2000s like indie bands where okay, in the states they were a thing for much of the 2000s, but in the UK they are still by far some of the biggest bands, like by like this like think of the way we think of like the Foo Fighters. That's kind of the relationship that the UK has with those bands. And and I had always been aware of Foles, because I remember I'd always been fond of this song called Red Sox Pugy from their debut album, which I always remember hearing it on a plane and just being so incredibly transfixed and completely being so like what is this band, and I really, really, really like this song, which is this very indicative of 2000s indie post punk, but kind of trippy, that kind of like two door cinema club sound. Geez, man, do you guys even remember Two Door Cinema Club? Man, jeez, yeah,
Will never
and
like
I was just
don't do that. Don't do that to Two Door Cinema Club, dog. Don't do that. They
no,
just dropped last
I
year.
like it. They're great. They're lovely. I just don't know how many people in the states remember them. Like once again, you
We
could.
can't like act like they ain't fucking like we can do that shit if they're like if they disappeared off the face of the fucking earth. And yes, they took a big ass break. And like if I'm being honest,
Mhm,
I
yeah.
haven't heard anything last like I haven't heard anything past time like hold on because like now you got me fucking activated, bro.
Okay.
hold the fuck on because now
Did
now
not
you
mean
done
that
me.
as shade.
Of
Did
course
not
not,
did
and
not
I
mean
know you
that as
did not.
shade, and
I
but
need.
yeah.
I just really need to like. We need to put some respect on their motherfucking name. Let me first start out by saying, earlier I said like I said crazy, which I know is an ableist slur, and I know it's just like progressive faux pas to say the word at all. And I think that what's going to happen is that in an effort as folks become far left, changing the way that we talk is not easy. I'm not making an excuse for that. I'm just going to acknowledge it every time I'm on stream and I say it. I apologize. I'm I I fuck up all the time in general. This is me breaking the fourth wall to myself. I fuck up all the time, and often I do not believe that I am worthy of love and like being alive. And like I am going to fight every fucking second that I am alive to prove that I am alive. It's me being on this planet is a worthwhile endeavor. I will fight like my life depends on it, that like my life has value in this world. I fucking promise you. And I'm talking to myself when I say that. I don't mean to alarm you, Olor. I just I am consistently reminded like because like while I was waiting for you, like I basically got like I got a wake up call while I was waiting for you, and it's just like it's just like rattled me to my core. And so like when I make like tiny little infractions, I tend to like just kind of like I'm very just like unforgiving to myself, and I'm trying to do that a little less. So like I just want to acknowledge my faults as they appear, because I want to be blameless. It's like because we have seen time and time again that like you fuck up once and they'll never forgive you, and most of the time folks don't deserve the forgiveness. But like I you know I want to walk through the streets without like being pelted with like broken glass and rotten vegetables, even if it's in my own head, you know. So Two Door Cinema Club, I talk all that shit to you, but truthfully, after the changing of the seasons EP, I stopped listening to their work. And I'm sure everything after that fact is like super good, but I have not made the time for it. And folks like me are to blame why like they aren't still part of the consistent indie rock conversation that I guess more like journalists that are just like on the money already know. You know, like I'm presuming to think, oh, that shit's probably great. But like I'm still more obsessed with the shit that I like to like even glance in their direction. So I will, if anything, I'm being shady and you are not. It is a valid question to be like, do y'all know who's Two Door is? But it's kind of fucked how that one goddamn song from their first album, uh what you know is like a known radio song, and like not that it wasn't already a great song at the time of also, I'm a bad friend. I've been doing this for like almost 5 years now. Welcome. Not that What You Know by Two Door Cinema Club wasn't already like a radio smasher, mega blaster, like in 2012, but like now it's just understood. Oh, this is heat when you play it anywhere. And I'm like, damn, where was this like respect and resolve? Where was all this like adoration when like in 20 fucking 14 when it actually mattered? You know what I mean? Only across the pond. That's what the fuck it was. Back to Falls. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, yeah, and hey, I mean, yes, as we're trying to be entertaining and speaking about our love for music, we
Same.
do, hey, our personal lives and journeys, it also seeps into that, but I think one thing, one thing then he kind of says is that yes, it is a different aspect of how, these UK indie bands are treated, in their home pond versus the relationship we might have with them in the US. And this also kind of plays an aspect of my relationship with Foles, where, you know, something that I was already kind of aware of, even me being the indie band guy I was then. A lot of these bands had the tendency to break up. One a band that I was really really into in 2008, and I remembered sending a bunch of questions to a fan radio interview. I was like, oh hey, um, hey, be your own pet, man. Where you guys gonna be in 10 years? And you'd want to know where they were, by the end of the summer. Yeah, not
Here.
existing. Exactly. But, they do exist now, and they dropped a new single. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yo, man, hey, best code. Be your own pet, man. Be your own pet. Be your own pet. You know. But I say this to say I always kind of assumed that Foles would break up, so I never really got that like into he continued getting into them. Like I remember one song they did like around 2010, like 2010, 2011, called Miami. And it's like, will you be there with me, waiting for me, in Miami? And I thought that song was lovely, but I didn't continue like really being into Falls, which is why when I hear the song in 2015, as 2015's ended, I was like, the thing that comes into my mind is, oh my goodness, Foles is still around, man. So I don't know. So for a band that I kind of assumed was going to eventually split up, still holding it down strong, like 2015, and to this day, you know, so for that, you have that aspect. You have the song that's already, about like, that's, already kind of has their breed. It is, yes, okay, yes, I get it. I get the Imagine Dragons accusations, the all kind of valid. Joe, will it okay, we'll admit, you know this is also the year that I heard shots, and in my disconnected socially mind, I was thinking, yo, yeah, this Imagine Dragons shout song, man, that's nice, man, that's nice. So
You,
that
you,
was where
you,
my head was at, man.
you,
That was where my head was at.
you are the only person on the face of the planet Earth that's allowed to like that song. You are the only person on the face of this earth that is allowed to like shots by Imagine Dragons. I am consistently taking a shit on Imagine Dragons, but like if I can be honest with myself, like it is it makes no sense to me that a band like Imagine Dragons makes a song like Warriors and does not stay in that lane. I don't know how that's possible. And another thing that I'll say, I do not think that Believer is a bad song by Imagine Dragons. I know it gets a lot of flack, but you cannot tell me that like Thunder and Believer are in the same room with one another, because it's just not possible. You cannot tell me that the same band that makes Cutthroat is in the same room with the band that made It's Time or Demons, because that's
Mhm,
just not possible. Everything changes, everything progresses. But
mhm.
ooh wee, I just don't. I still don't appreciate how they get most of the airtime. They should have the least of the airtime across the board at this point in their careers. And they do a lot of good charitable work in this world, and I thank them for that. But god damn it, they clog up the airwaves, and I wish they took a step back and put other bands over them.
Yeah,
That's just me.
completely understood. Completely understood. So, I mean, I think So, I mean, once again, and I think I'm old, and I admit my relationship with 2015, especially in light of other personal stuff that I'm not getting into right now, but it's a year that I'm always going to have an evolving relationship with, because it's a year that I kind of look as somewhere at that time my head was like, oh man, it's just over, man. It's just over. And when thankfully by quite a few miracles, it wasn't all over. I did feel like, yeah, I did feel like, I had indeed conquered the mountain in my gate. So, I don't know. This was like, in my tradition, in my now tradition of, last song of a year, of the closing year, first song of the new year, this would have been the song I would have this would have been the last song of 2015 that I would have listened to, in terms of like compiling, this is what I want the end of my relationship with 2015 to sound like. And and I think what worked about Falls, and they're kind of breezy at time, take on indie rock. It does shine, even though it's arguably cool. It does try to be a bit aggressive, yes, albeit for American taste, which probably I believe this is one of their most popular. This probably one of their most popular songs in the states. It might
I'm
be,
not surprised about that.
yeah. So hey. Hey, I can't knock it. It did indeed work. But yeah, that's like, but yeah, in terms of like, but yeah, I think in terms of like the song, in terms of like describing 2015 as a year that, myself at that time really just could not have had a worse relationship with myself at that point in my life. With the fact that I was able to um overcome that, that's the song that played right now at this point in my life. That's the song that plays when I think about overcoming it, because and what better imagery to convey than I'm seeing this mountain at my gate, but seeing this mountain, but you know, and feeling very emotionally restless about it, about having to go to this mountain, but going to this mountain and climbing it anyway.
I got the answer to my question, so thank you.
Hmm.
Um, I think we should move on to Zach and Chris, shall we?
Indeed, indeed.
All right, cool.
I, you sure you don't want us to talk about
No,
Janet first? All
no,
right. Okay. Okay.
we'll get around to it.
But yeah. Okay. All good. So.
So, um, Zach Brown Band. You know, for a period of time, we just knew Zach as that white man with the beard and the beanie who was like, he seems like a nice young man. But then he changed his hat, you know? And there's something about being like the it boy in country that does something to your personal life. And I don't want to like throw mud on Brown or like his private personal life. I just know that there was a change that like the public became aware of that was hard for him. And I could not tell you when that happened. I just know that it happened. And like, I remember when Spectrum Pulse was covering some of his newer stuff. And like, like that dude is like the go. I trust Spectrum Pulse to be honest about country music more than I trust anybody else. You know what I mean? That meant that you think that Fantano and Nardwuar are good. The dude, Spectrum Pulse, my man Mark, he is on the money. And like, after like that chicken fried era, after like that Jimmy Buffett featuring Zach Brown era, I didn't really give a damn about dude. I don't give a damn about Zach Brown. You know what I'm saying? I was not checking for Cat in 2015. And like, but that like the realm of country and like rock and roll, true American blooded rock and roll, it's very close. And so I'm not surprised to see like a Chris Cornell hopping on a song with dude, especially considering with the kind of wave that Brown was on in 2015. Again, the man changed his hat. He could afford a new one. He had a budget. You smell me? And I can't imagine how like starstruck everybody in that motherfucking room felt standing next to Cornell. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a giant in this world, in this industry. Like his memory is a protective spirit over all of rock and roll. You know, I like this song, Heavy as the Head, is a song I wish I had heard in 2015 because this fucker rocks. This is like Hall of Fame rock and roll type of music. And like, like R.A. Olor, I want to say it because I truly believe, had you not mentioned this song to me, nobody would have. And so I have to extend my thanks to you, sir. This is a good freaking song. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this year rocks a little too hard for Zach Brown. You never think that he'd have this kind of song in the chamber, ready to go, ready to like, just ready to blast off. Like, this should have been a crossover hit, and it was not. And it's a goddamn shame. Rest in peace, Chris Cornell.
Yeah, 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 and I think that's the thing, because I think they try to just sell this straight to the rock stations. I don't even believe they tried to go to the country stations at all. They really wanted this to be for the rock people, and yeah, yes, and in mentioning our feature and artists that indeed, I have to mention I have to mention Chris Cornell, who, man, it's so funny because in once again in me, being honest about my relationship with 2015 and just the kind of conflicting year it was. This song officially would come out on as a single on March 2015. March 7th, 2015. Now, that just so happens to be a pretty significant day for me. Um, you
Why?
know, you know, um, uh, you know, personal anniversary,
Okay.
you know. And in spite of that, but once again, still at a time in my life where I just wasn't disconnected, disconnected from the world and everything, disconnected. So disconnected that even on this special personal anniversary, when when there's a new episode of Saturday Night Live with Chris Hemsworth as the host and the Zach Brown Band as the musical guest, you just go to bed. You just go straight to bed, and you don't hear about it till months later, and you see and you realize, oh my goodness, they got Chris Cornell on SNL. Do you know the last time Chris Cornell was on SNL?
No, when?
1997, when Jim Carrey hosted and Soundgarden was the musical guest.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yo, yo. And this song, it completely rocked. And this song completely rocks. It perfectly fits into in trying to conjure up songs that try to conjure up the good old memories of grunge are, they're a dime a dozen. There is a genre literally named after bands that try to sound like bands in the 90s. It's not that rare. What is rare are the times when a band actually gets it right. and that's what they did. And that's, I mean, if Chris Cornell co-signing it wasn't enough, I mean, they get it. They get it. They understand how to yeah, this is very much a hard rock song. And in being a hard rock song, also conjuring up the spirit of heavy metal, but still making it just melodic enough that it's just a rock song, but it has the spirit of heavy metal, man. And and when I discovered it, and seeing Chris Cornell there, and me already being aware, once again, Chris, once again, because I like going through SNL musical guest history, and I knew that, oh, hey, isn't it cool? Because Soundgarden had also been a musical guest back in 1997, and 96, 97, right when they released like Down on the Upside, down what was their final album, until sadly what actually did end up being their final album. And and I just and the joy I had in seeing Chris, and just showing that he still had it, man. He still had it. And I really thought, hey, that was going to be the future. And we were going to keep on seeing Chris. But sadly, sadly, 2 years later, that did not end up being the scenario. And rest for the Chris. And I'm glad, I'm glad that I'm glad that, like, I don't think this was like the very last thing he ever recorded, but I'm glad that this ends up being one of the many, 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 many classics he has, whether it's in Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, Audio Slave, Solo, a James Bond song, and this is just another one of the many, many masterpieces he has. And I will always be thankful to the Zach Brown Band, for giving this one of the last real great gifts as a musician that Chris got. Thank you to the Zach Brown Band.
Yeah, truly a diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? Pretty sure, yeah, like we were listening to records together and you played me some audio slave I'd never heard before because I was only thinking they did the one album. They have like three. And
Yeah,
I'm so glad you played that because it's like, oh, it's so nice to know that like there's like there's a body of work with that specific band because I like them a lot, you know?
hmm
And yeah, like you've given me a lot of gifts and I'm very thankful for that. So let's move to our last two songs. We're an hour in, and we're making good time, all things considered. Let's close with Baby Metal. Let's start with Janet. Um, Another just like legend, a living legend who like I saw some live footage of her recently, and it's like I'm so happy that like she still gets to do what she does all over the world because under fucking rated. Much like her Chris Cornell, under fucking rated. But just she's given us so much, and like I'm not gonna be one of those people that says I wish things were different because things are the way that they are, and what she's given us doesn't like it's still just as important as it ever was. But as like music is changing and there are so many pop stars, so many like folks who sing R&B in this world who don't have a Janet Jackson record in their home, and they need to because what she does is so significant. And if I'm being honest with myself, the first time that I heard Damn Baby, I never thought I would hear a song like that all my life. And like in the past when I was in high school, I remember I was in like a musical, And like one of the dance classes at my school was dancing to Feedback, and I'm like, I never heard this song before. And I'm like, wow, like they're doing such just like a very like intensive routine to that song. I remember one of my favorite a local rapper from our area. I don't want to like butcher his name, so I'm not gonna do it. But you know who you are. Shout out to Polo. Like I was at his crib and like he was playing like "Love" by Janet, and I'm like, wow, this song is good. Damn. And shout out to my friend who I refer to as M, who like loves to collect stems. M, who loves to collect stems. You know who you are. Just playing me this song when we were friends, and I'm like, this shit sounds in. I'm not gonna say the word. I'm not gonna say the I word. It's just like I cannot believe how good this song sounds. I'm like, whoa, like it's like it's like here. I'll put it into this perspective. K-pop wishes they can make a song like this. Like all those producers, all those like heads of companies hear a song like "Damn Baby" by Janet, and it's like we need this for our idols, and like I would say that just like give flowers to our queen, like and for even even like my top 10 like boy band girl group like K-pop records comebacks that I think of pales in comparison to what this song does for me. And you know, like you can go on YouTube right now and watch like the music video, like the dance routine for this song. But it's like I hate how like some bits have to be trimmed off for that video. I'm like, no, I need the routine for the full song. And you're not really gonna get the full song in official capacity on YouTube unless you watch like the lyric video. And I just love the way that just like the synth like plays off the walls of your eardrums. This song is it is pop perfected in my eyes. Like you know me, like I don't listen to Michael Jackson's work. I just don't, full stop. But like, I'm not really. I don't feel like, and I don't feel like I really. I don't like in making that decision for myself. I don't think I'm really losing anything when I consider how much music of Janet's I can listen to instead, which is just as good, if not better. Like hypothetically speaking. But I've spoken long enough. What do you think about Damn Baby? I
Um,
gotta hear me.
okay. Yeah, indeed, indeed, and here it I did, and you know, and like okay, okay. And in our past conversation, I understand that, like, our, much like how we tend to have different relationship with the musical icons here and there, like because I remember, like, because was it like, or like, were you like watching any Janet Jackson music videos? Like at any
No,
did like you didn't see it
never.
on a VH, not on a VH1?
No, dude, I never had cable.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, that's
And
okay.
here,
Yeah,
context.
yeah, yeah.
In the home where I was raised, there was no way like I would be able to watch because I feel as if I'm I feel as though if I were like in my home watching a Janet Jackson music video, any for that matter, any on like television or on the family computer, that would be like a full ass lecture, is my belief. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was a given, like, oh, like watching like the works of a Janet or anyone she inspired, no freaking way. It's just a,
Oh,
like far too secular for the home that I lived in. And that's not me
oh,
trying to like, like be rude to my parents. It's just like I know what was expected of me and what would be tolerated at my age where any like prominent like work of Janet's would be featured on television. Ain't no freaking way. And for the record, we were watching the Super Bowl halftime show where the incident occurred. And like it wasn't a discussion we had in our home. Like I was watching from like the staircase. And frankly, I didn't understand what was going on, to be honest with you. But and so like the Lord knows I was certainly subjugated to just like the ridicule and the jokes made at Janet's expense. And I am certainly one of those people who feels as though, like, even though Janet forgives Dog, I don't think I ever will. And it's just on principle alone, personally. And there are a few other things that I won't also forgive Dog for, but that is neither here nor there. Please continue, sir.
I think in the great big contrast of my relationship with Janet versus yours is, well, obviously I am much aware of the works and of her older brother. So, you keep hearing about, you keep, just hearing her older brother's works around you on and on and on, and you even have a CD of the Blood on the Dance Floor remix album, which was quite the jam back in the late
Believe you.
90s. But that's all right. But yeah, but you hear, you hear about that enough. At some point you're going to end up hearing about the fact that, oh great, he has a little sister. It's like, wow, wow. And and this was like back when you could like when like a VH1 would just show blocks of random music videos. So they would show blocks of Janet Jackson music videos. So you would see a "What Have You Done for Me Lately," a "Pleasure Principle." Oh man, Rhythm Nation, yo, Rhythm Nation, yo, and and at a young age, watching those music videos, I was just like, man, wow, wow, you learn, of course, like it's very clear how you learn to not see, oh, Michael Jackson's kid sister, and just, oh, Janet Jackson, yo. And her work, and I'm glad that I was really exposed to her work before that whole like Super Bowl thing. So you really got to have an appreciation for how she was both a very massive artist of the 80s and 90s, but she was doing stuff then today with the P. Diddy's, the Missy Elliott's, the Busta Rhymes and stuff like that. And her voice, man, her voice, it's just, yeah, I will remember watching that MTV Icons. I mean, granted, I saw it a year later, sadly after one of the ones, Aaliyah had passed away, RIP to Aaliyah, but I remember that MTV Icons ceremony for Janet Jackson, and just showing how she'd influenced all the late women. Once again, rest in peace to Aaliyah, also a Britney Spears, a Pink, man.
Era.
Outcast was there. Outcast was there. And yes, they performed Miss Jackson, but it's dope, man. It was dope. So, I'm glad. So it was always known to me that, Janet Jackson, she's not dope for being Michael Jackson's sister. She's dope, man. She's dope. So yeah, so I've always had an appreciation for her work. I've always had an appreciation for what she's brought to R&B and pop, and even when that whole, that Super Bowl thing happened, man, I'm not gonna act as if I was, you know, a preteen was always a harbinger of the most enlightened views, but I definitely remember still being a Janet Jackson fan well after that. So that's where I stood in history with that, man. So Janet's just dope, man. Janet's just dope, and she's so dope that on an album that she didn't need to do to drop a new album. She didn't really need to drop an album. I mean, though she had been meaning to since after that the feedback album from 2008, which would be like kind of like the last one she would ever do with her then partner Jermaine Dupri. She had been trying to do an album. She had been trying to record an album since 2009.
Discipline.
What? Oh,
Discipline.
Undisciplined was the name of the album. Thank you.
Discipline. Yeah.
Yeah, it had the song feedback, but it was
Yeah.
called Undisciplined. Cool. But yeah, she had been trying to do an album since like 2009. Producer Rodney Darkchild Jenkins, who had also done work with her brother on on what would be his final album, Invisible. Sorry, uh,
Invincible. Yeah.
yeah, he remembers like he was recording stuff with her. He was recording stuff with her, but then wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? The big pop cultural event of 2009 that you would think of would affect Janet Jackson happened, and Rodney and Mr. Rodney Darkchild Jenkins, who is an absolute legend of a producer in his own right. The '90s. So much of what we treasure about the '90s would not have happened without him. But he was spoken in an interview about not hearing the news and calling her like, yo, Janet, I'm hearing the news about what happened to Michael. Is this true? And she was too heartbroken to even say a word to him.
Who were you talking about?
Darkchild Jenkins.
Okay, just making
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
making sure.
yeah. So I'm saying I'm saying this because the the time span between undisciplined and
Discipline. No, not undisciplined. Discipline.
discipline, that time span of albums, so something that probably had things not have gone the way they did would have come out in 2010, because of that personal heartache of her just wanting to focus on acting and also just wanting to focus on creating a family of her own. It would have been perfectly natural for her to just be like, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to do the music stuff no more. I don't want to do it no more. You know, I already gave you the classics. It's over." So, you know, imagine my shock in 2015 when I actually do see that No Sleep music video with J. Cole. I'm just like, hey yo, Janet's back. Janet's back. Janet's back. And in listening to this album, I mean, I think the thing about Janet is I think she's just at a point, especially by that point, she was just completely aware of what she wanted to do. That I mean, does this album sound like 2015 to you?
No.
Exactly.
Like this song, again, this is pop music perfected. It's
Mhm,
like this is just a fucking Janet Jackson song when I
mhm,
hear it. You know what I'm saying? And I like much like everybody else in the fucking world, I love pop music when it's done to the best of its ability. And that's when I hear this song. It's just like we just hear a legend just like given the space to just like try shit out. And it's just like, I can't believe a song this good is just like so under the radar. It only has like 5 million streams on Spotify. And I'm like, if this song was as big as I wish it could have been, like, had this song like been a fucking mainstream top 40 song, man, how it would have just like shifted like the lane that pop moved into 2016, is my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think it's because, and that's the thing. That's the thing. This is a song that its only crime is that Janet just has too many classics, man. She has so many classics that something like this can fall through the cracks. And that album, I mean, and granted, and I'm not saying this to cause any issues between us, but I will say, I would, I would argue that the best song on that 2015 album is "Broken Hearts Heal," which is about her brother. That's like this. That's
I'll give
really.
that a listen because I think that sounds interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I take your opinion very fucking seriously because I know
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking about, you know?
yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm not saying that it caused an
Of course, hey, bro,
issue or
you're
anything.
good, fam. You're good.
Okay,
You're not one of like
okay,
you're not on some like Kendrick Lamar like you think you touched those kids type bullshit, dog.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know what time it is with you, dog. You're good. You don't
Okay, okay,
you don't have to step on eggshells with the kid. You know what I'm saying? You're
yeah,
good. Oh my
yeah.
god. Like
Sure. Okay.
I'm glad you again had you not said anything about that song, I would have never fucking given it a chance. So know that I will because like him dying was significant in my home. It did like
Hmm.
it, it God rest my father's soul. It made him feel some type of way, Michael Jackson dying. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It was crucial for like our people in this country. Point blank period.
Hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna give that a shot. If anyone deserves to feel upset about losing like their family, it's Janet fucking Jackson. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna give that a shot because it is significant. Again, not to invoke that Canadian's name, but when he got a sample of Michael for Scorpion, I'm like, this is fucking sacrilege. Nobody asked for this. It doesn't even help the music. It does nothing for you, friend.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I think,
Not to
like,
waste too much fucking time with that bullshit, but
yeah,
I hear you, and like
yeah.
I really appreciate just like that insight that I wouldn't get from anybody else, at least not in our circle anyway, who like cares just like about like the the legacy with which we're discussing, you know?
Hmm.
And yeah, the song fucking speaks for itself. And I also love that like I also love that Jimmy Jam and Terry worked on it
Hmm.
because that just goes to show that, like, in case you motherfuckers didn't know, without Janet Jackson, we don't have new Jack Swing, and so many black people love to just like, um, like preach like the goodness of new Jack Swing, and yet. It's almost as if like we say the two things Janet Jackson, New Jack Swing as if they are separate from one another. They are one and the same. Janet
Hmm.
Jackson is New Jack Swing. It is not just a subgenre. It is like the blood flowing in her veins. And we again we owe her a lot. If not everything, we owe her a lot more than we owe her a lot more than what we have given her. And I hope to give her more as I get older and like get a chance to like just pick records up and listen to them start to finish. So maybe we should come to a conclusion ourselves with the last song this that we're going to discuss on today's stream. I feel like it is a proper closing track to the discussion that we've been having. That is Road of Resistance by Baby Metal. Let's just get it out of the way right now. Yes, that's Herman Lee from Dragon Force, basically like playing all of the guitars by himself because holy cow, can that man play guitar? Like,
Yeah.
I talk a lot of shit about like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Herman Lee deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just by himself because he is so cool. The things he can do to a guitar. Like, you know me, I'm a consistent just like disciple of one Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. But like it was so cool to just see him, uh Herman and like Tim from Polyphia on a live stream on Twitch playing this like ungodly song that is Through the Fire and Flames. And like Herman Lee, again, not only is he super talented, he's so funny. Like, there's a great band in Japan called Band Made, and like all the members of the band dress like in maid outfits. And Herman's like, "Oh, I want to audition for the band," and so he put on a maid outfit on their stream, and just like plays like a ripping solo. And it's like, oh, what a Chad, so cheeky and just so talented. Um, like you've seen Baby Metal online. You've seen like
Yeah.
the shtick, like Three Idols and just like their band of just like Japanese metal superstars playing like honestly incredible music. My biggest critique of music from Japan is that for the longest time, prior to like the streaming boom that we're currently still in, it was really hard to find an official source for like songs in Japanese that you really liked unless you had a lot of money, unless you had a consistent budget to buy songs from iTunes, from a Western distributor. You know what I mean? And that was really fucking difficult. But like with the rise of a Baby Metal, it's like, okay, like not only did like a lot of idols try to like copy like the blueprint of the success of the trio, and I say trio even now because the girl they hired, because I believe one of the girls in the original three, like I think she fell ill and she's like, son, I ain't getting back on the road. I'm very tired. Y'all got this. And they brought in a new girl. She wasn't a member of the group until now. And congratulations, Shorty. I should probably find out your name while we're talking about the song. It's like it's not easy to be an idol in general, but then to be an idol in this specific subgenre is extremely difficult. Whether we like to discuss it or not, men in metal hate women. Full stop. I'll say it again for the ones in the back. Men in metal hate women. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, non-men drive the scene forward. Who do you think is buying the shirts, buying the albums, buying the vinyl, buying the cassettes, getting the tattoos, buying the posters? Non-men. Not to say that the boys aren't doing their fair share, but if we're being honest, they're not. Non-men drive the scene forward. I can't think of a lot of like acts that incorporate fully choreographed like dances into the songs. And yeah, a lot of the songs are silly, but like there are some really great breakdowns and like compelling vocal melodies in these Baby Metal songs. I've said it once before in a freaking Bible study that like Road to Resistance almost made me cry once because I love the way that the song ends. It is like this is the song that like you hear riding into battle in like Return of the King, Lord of the Rings when Aragorn says for Frodo. This is the song that plays in my head when I'm running towards like the enemy, sword and shield in hand, ready to take back the city and crown the new king and bow before the hobbits. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just like the song that plays at the end of the movie where it's just like we have a battle to win. Like if you've seen like the official live version of that you see on YouTube and shit, it's like 8 minutes long because when the whoa, 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 like just the band stops just so like the lead vocals can be like the crowd needs to sing this shit with me real quick, and they just like do that shit and just like the power of like the fox god does what it does best, and I love that. That's what I think I really love about like idol fandoms. It's just like there's a great deal of call and response that we don't really see from Western bands unless just like the band has hot heat, and that's what you really don't see unless like like it's a small venue in a small room in like the band's hometown where like the subgenre is especially popular. And just like I feel like with the success of a baby metal, we'll see more bands from Japan that deserve the respect that they've worked so hard to gain in their careers. Because from my Western perspective, often or not, you'll see bands in Japan be successful there and never tour internationally because they don't have to do that shit. And I think that's so cool. From what I can glean from music stuff over there, it's like CDs are still like a prominent fixture of music culture there, and it's like I would love for that to come back. Like not even like an hour or so ago, I was talking to a friend about the TV show We Are Lady Parts, and my friend was like, "Oh, you should watch this show." And it's like I already know that I like it, but like I wish I could just buy the DVD box set, so I wouldn't have to fucking rely on God to watch that shit. I just want to have it in my hand so I can put it on whenever I want. Like who has like the hundreds of dollars needed to keep up these goddamn streaming services? I'm thankful that like a friend loves me enough to like pay for my streaming service for music. It's just like because like I think I stopped listening to baby metal because of like I think the company that runs like that just like that I think like the company they belong to like try to invest in some NFTs, and I'm like, oh ew. I don't know why I was freaking surprised. Big business always doing dumb financial decisions, but that has nothing to do. And maybe dumb is like an appropriate word to use, and I apologize for that. And that's probably like I don't blame the idols for this. Certainly wasn't their idea. They just show up to the gig and do their damn best, and like I hope to like perform and just like do what I do as well as they do. To like get in front of these large crowds and just like give their all. It's like I'm on my road of resistance. I have been on my road of resistance since the day I dropped out of college. I have continued to be on my road of resistance, and when I put on this song, I feel like, oh, I'm gonna get to the end of this road, and it'll all be worth it. I can finally just like let my shoulders like fall, and like I won't have to keep my guard up anymore. Like I won't have to keep looking over my shoulder. It'll all be over, and like I will know peace at the end of my road of resistance. And like that's what this song gives to me, man. And it's like I know that at the time, I'm pretty sure like this song came out as a single. It wasn't originally on the first like LP of like baby metal, but like it's there now. And so I'm like, well, I'm counting it because like I feel like it signifies something that's different from the other tremendous songs from that first album. I would say it's like a 9 out of 10, but I'm biased. How do you feel about this song, my friend? I've talking far too long now.
Well, okay, well, I definitely, one thing I was thinking when I was listening to was, do not, under no circumstances do you say this sounds like an anime theme song, because
Yeah,
that
don't
is,
be a piece of shit. Don't be a
yeah,
racist caricature, dog. Don't do that to yourself. Don't play your
yeah,
fucking self. It's so
yeah.
ill. It's so gross. Thank you for
Yeah,
saying that because I had forgotten to consider that.
yeah, yeah, and because it's yeah, yeah, it really is. It really is. But one thing, but so I guess that thing that I'm glad that I avoided. I'm glad that I avoided. Um, was okay. And granted, I mean, this is a comparison that metal fans probably do not want to hear, but
Fuck them with them.
there's a reason, and it's not even like a problematic thing. It's just because the album I'm referencing kind of sucks,
Tell me more.
but obviously we're aware of Metallica's Saint Anger.
Hey, keep going because I don't see the correlation.
But one thing because in all these behind the music block docs I used to watch on Metallica, because VH1 loved doing that, was James Hetfield when they would go to the Saint Anger era. and they always paint Saint Anger in like the rosy picture of like, oh yeah, it's such a beautiful album that or whatever. One thing that Jane says is that I will. What he wanted to convey with Saint Anger was, I want people to understand that it is possible to make aggressive, positive music.
I see it. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. So in so I guess so Mr. Hatfield, wherever you are, you know, did the vision is alive. Saint Anger just wasn't the one to do it, but the vision was is it's alive.
Loxy Turner.
But yeah. I mean, one thing that's really cool about baby metal is that they're very consistent. They're very
Oh
consistent.
yeah.
They know they really know how to how to pick up songs, and really know how to be on good sync with the guitars. And you spoke about the guitars. I mean, like, these are really good creative rhythms. Like, that's something I've always felt that's been pretty consistent with those baby metal tracks. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think and it's with that consistency why it makes complete sense. Why the Rob Halfords, the
Rob
Rob
Zombies.
Zombies. I think Ozzy. Did Ozzy show him some love?
Not to my knowledge, but I wouldn't be
Uh,
surprised if he's heard their work.
yeah, like, that's why, okay, that's why, okay, yeah, sure, okay, there's a shtick, yes, there's a shtick, I know, we know there's a shtick, we know that there's something, there's a distinction with this band that you don't get with your typical metal band. But the thing is, they do it well. They do it well. They do it well. They understand that the shtick can only work for so much if you don't have the songs to back it up. And they have the songs to back it up.
Like this album came out in 2015. They're 4 albums in right now, and I,
Mhm.
I love a band that you'd think that like a band like Baby Metal would have like I don't know like 8 fucking albums at this point, but they take their time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I was almost under the impression like, oh, we're not gonna get a fourth Baby Metal record, but like one's on the way. And like I think about how like like non-men drive this subgenre forward, and like we see a lot of like kids at shows and whatever at like rock and roll had heavy rock and roll shows and shit like that. A lot of the shit that I enjoy, I wouldn't play for children. I wouldn't play baby metal for kids because yeah, even though like there's like aggressive screams on like a lot of the songs, like the idols in baby metal were kids when they started, and it's just like if anything is like oh like what a way to like jumpstart like getting your kid and like your younger people into like bands that are from other countries, because like I found that like a lot of bands that are from like other places that make heavy music often sing their songs in English, and it's just like and that's just like so they can like survive in the market at large. But it's like dog, this is a Japanese act and they sing in Japanese, and that's freaking awesome. And like
yeah,
you'll find that like when you go to like when you're like a big band and you play in Japan, like the fans know the words to the freaking songs. And like, I feel as though we don't often lend the same courtesy to huge acts that are from out of the States where English is not their first language. And we ought to do, and I feel as though we owe it to like groups like Baby Metal to like do our homework. Like I've always wanted to go to Japan great food, great music, great sights, great sounds. But it's like I don't want to be a nuisance to like the public. It's like I owe it. It's like if I'm gonna go, like if I'm gonna spend some money, get on a plane or a boat and go to Japan, it's like bet I could take a crash course for 6 months and like just like stay up on my Google Translate, so I'm out of the way, like like just minding my business, like doing what I'm here to do, and not like like bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? Just like taking in like one of the most like interesting places on the face of the earth. I'm glad I was born in America. I'm glad I'm black, but like man, like I imagine well like oh man, what if I lived over there? What if my journey started over there and how things would be different, like and things of that nature. And I'm thankful for Baby Metal because like again, like just that triumphant end to that song. It's like a scene out of a movie to make an Aolor kind of like description. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I really do look forward to the day that, yeah, more. I mean, I'm glad that Baby Metal, thankfully, they've done a lot of good major tours here in the States. I really look forward
Oh
to the
yeah.
day. I look forward to the day that more J-pop idol crews can hop over to the States a bit because because hey, to any J-pop crews out there, you do have fans here. Lyrical School, you know, like I swear that,
XG
yeah, yeah, the Mondo Grosso, there's a market for y'all here, man.
Chai. You know what I mean?
Mhm. You know, but yeah, which makes me all the more glad that someone like Baby Metal, have always gotten their cosigns within the American metal establishment. Could probably do it with a bit more, but but I think it's clear that anyone who downs Baby Metal, they do that with their own
Speak for
ignorance.
themselves.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so, with that said, I think we should like make like Lupe Fiasco, and applaud the crowd because
Hmm.
it's 1:42 in the morning, um, May 8th, 2023 EST. I'm Chris Kenard. I'm with my brother Aolor. This is part one, the first dance of Ken Mide's Quince. I like to think that worst case scenario, we'll be back in like a couple of weeks. Like my brother here is finally finished with school. Um, I work a 4-day work week, 10-hour days each. Um, Things are happening. Like we're two men in our early 30s, still figuring out how to move in a fucked up world. But music makes it a little less fucked up, I guess suppose. Let's do these calls to action. In the description, you can find the playlist to all of the songs for the like the next like couple of streams on YouTube, on Spotify. You can find our Twitter channel. You can find our Twitter handles in the description. You'll find some mutual aid. If you want to pay anybody, don't pay us. Pay the folks who actually need the money way more than we do. If you want something new to listen to that's not from 2015, there's some new music in the description. I couldn't tell you what the song is because I forgot what it was when I put it up in the first place. We were supposed to do the stream a while ago. We had technical difficulties. Shit happens. We're here now. Make of that what you will. Here, I like to end these streams with 3 calls to action. One of which is when you wake up in the morning, when you like go to the bathroom to pee after watching this live stream, look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you to yourself. It's really hard to do that. And if you can't do that, I understand. And please know that myself and Aolor, we love you and support you in the most platonic way possible. Secondly, when you leave your home, please wear a mask over your nose, under your mouth. If you don't do it that way, the mask does not work. The pandemic is not over. I don't give a fuck what the government says. I'm not being conspiracy nut. People are getting sick. People are dying. I don't want either of things to happen to you until it's your time, until you are very old, living a complete life. I want to die long after I'm 70 years old. And if I were to develop a long form disease like the vid, the statistics are weighed against me. God forbid. Thirdly, water, H2O. Drink some. It's good for you. If you're drinking, if you think you're drinking a lot, drink some more because it's in you. I'm gonna drink some right now. Boom. Finally, I'm gonna break the fourth wall again. Communication is key. See to it that you are communicating to the ones that you love as clearly as possible. To friends, to families, to foes, to coworkers. Communicate to the best of your ability. Um, and yeah, we love you. We sincerely appreciate you listening to us talk. Hey, Olor, anything else we should have to the people out there?
Hey, hey. Once again, I understand that we're all still out there trying to make trying to make our way through things, and um, really, it is really. I know it's very generic, but I a lot of us are trying to go through our transitions here and there, and I hope that we're all given the time and space to make these transitions, and become better people, and better people who can really make this world a better place. I mean, that something I guess I'll keep talking about my relationship with 2015 that's not a year I look back at fondly, but it's a year that I'm thankful that I personally survived, as well as other people around me, and and you know unfortunately it also was a predecessor of other not so good things to come, but which we'll talk about later. But but thankfully a lot of us did survive. I wish a lot more did. A lot more people survived with us, but a lot of us did survive, and I hope we all keep on. We can go from survive and to thrive, and I don't know how, but I really hope that that's where we can go in this future.
Word up. Keep hope alive. Black lives matter. Trans lives matter. Queer lives matter. Death to white supremacy. Death to capitalism. Justice for Jordan Neely. This has been Ken Mide's Quince, Part 1, First Dance, and we will see you very soon. Elor, say bye.
See ya.